And what I'm going to talk about today is imposter syndrome, which is not something that I've covered before, but the way that I'm going to cover it is about a topic that I've covered before. So if that wasn't crystal clear, or as clear, or maybe it was as clear as mud, let's jump into it and we'll see if I can clear things up. Going on? Welcome to the Risen Fallen Podcast. I am your host, Mark Hendrickson, and this is the podcast where you can expect to hear open and authentic conversations about things like mental health and self-development, how to get your life moving in the right direction if you're not feeling good about where you are right now. And without further ado, let's jump into it. How is everybody doing today? Happy Monday morning. It is Monday morning, and I can say that with confidence because I used to upload Mondays and Thursdays, and I used to split it up between 5 a.m. would be the audio and 5 p.m. would be the video, and I figured that would just make more sense because I listen to podcasts in the morning, and I tend to watch YouTube videos and stuff like that while I'm eating dinner at night, and so my upload schedule reflected that. And then I realized that other people do things differently than I do. So I figured let's just throw them up, just simplify it, throw it up at 5 a.m. Mondays and Thursdays. So just a little update for you guys, a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into this episode. 5 a.m. That's when it'll drop, Mondays and Thursdays. You can listen to it when you start your week. You can listen to it when you finish your week. You can listen to it on your way to work. And if you don't catch it then, you can listen to it on your way home or whenever you listen to things. So that's the schedule. And let's jump into it. Happy Monday morning. Hope everybody's doing well. I am doing pretty well right now. It is Saturday evening as I record this. It's about 7:18. I'm about to get ready for bed after I finish this up. There's a few other things that I got to get to, but it's basically just going to be wrapping it up for the evening after I record this. And my Saturday was it was pretty good. I went and hung out with my buddy Pat. We had a little workout this morning. We went for lunch, him and his girl Renee and I, and a little third wheel action. We went for lunch, and then what did I do after that? Went grocery shopping, got some gas, just basically ran a little bit of errands today, and here I am now. And so I saw an Instagram clip. It was, talking about, it was Alex Hormozy, I think, on Chris Williamson's podcast. Obviously, they collaborate a lot together. And I think it was, or maybe Chris Williamson quoting Alex Hormozy, or I can't remember what it was. But basically, he was talking about something that Alex had said or whatever it could be. And I guess to summarize it, he had this idea talking about imposter syndrome, which, correlates a lot, I guess, or, fits into the idea that I've talked about often, which, again, is not even an original idea by myself, but it is something that I've covered quite a bit. And that is staying a student and consistently having the mindset of wanting to learn, wanting to improve, wanting to, kind of get all the juice out of the fruit that you're squeezing, if that makes sense. I find that the only times I really feel like I'm getting like an imposter syndrome when when I think back to my life, anytime that I felt imposter syndrome or felt like, it was usually when I was trying to get away with something. And what I mean by that is, when I was either trying to pretend like I knew more than I actually did or had more experience than I actually did. So obviously that's not imposter syndrome. That's just purely being an imposter. You're just kind of lying about your experience or your knowledge or not being forthcoming. Maybe it's a more of a lie by omission type of thing where it's like you don't really tell the full truth. Or, it's because I'm trying to get away with something else. Like, whether it was, bad habits in my lifestyle. Like maybe like I felt guilty about, I'm trying to be this like kind of professional type of guy, but I'm still going out, I'm partying, I'm getting fucked up, and I'm, just trying to chase the next dopamine fix. And so there was the kind of like this shame or guilt, and that led me towards having this like imposter syndrome. Like I'm trying to get away with something. Like I think the real idea of imposter syndrome is, you're afraid that you're going to get found out. And so whatever that is, you whatever you feel guilty or shameful or that you need to hide, it gives you this experience where you feel like you're wearing a mask, where you feel like you can't be authentic, and so you feel this quote unquote imposter syndrome when you're trying to get away with something. And so obviously, if you're dealing with an issue of like you're doing some shameful behavior or behaviors that make you feel guilty and make you feel like, okay, I kind of have to get away with this, and you're feeling like this imposter syndrome. Like I know for myself, I used to work in a gym and I would smoke cigarettes. Like I used to smoke cigarettes often. I would smoke like a pack a day. And, for myself, I convinced myself if I was working out every day, it wasn't that bad, but I worked in a gym. And so as I'm selling gym memberships, I have this imposter syndrome because I know I'm doing something that's unhealthy. I'm going out, I'm smoking cigarettes. And so when people can smell it on me or I'm shaking hands, I'm smiling, I'm meeting people in the gym that I work in, I have this imposter syndrome in the back of my head thinking like, do these people, can they smell it on me? Do they know? Do they think this about me? Do I seem unhealthy even though I feel like I'm, eating the right things or doing? And so there's this kind of feeling of imposter syndrome because I'm trying to get away with something that I really shouldn't be doing. And so if you feel something like that, then it's obvious you just have to stop doing the thing that you're that's a shameful act or a shameful behavior, something that makes you feel guilty. Obviously, if you want to alleviate that, then maybe just don't do the shameful act. Don't do what makes you feel guilty. And you can avoid that feeling. But, I think the other side of it as well comes down to this idea of, needing to keep up this appearance of having, more experience than you probably do in life, or more knowledge, or whatever it could possibly be. And so we try and, like I said, sometimes it's not even like a direct lie, but it's kind of like a lie by omission. And, sometimes I've felt like that before because, especially in the trades, like I do home renovations and restoration work. And so a lot of the time, when you're talking to customers or you're talking to other people in the trades, especially as an apprentice, as somebody that's just, cutting their teeth, so to speak, in the industry, a lot of the times it's very easy to, when someone says something that you don't understand or talks about something that you haven't done before or asks you if you know how to do something that you haven't done before, it's very easy to just kind of be like, yeah, oh yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. I totally know how to do that. I totally know, this, that, and the other thing. And so it's pretty easy to feel like that imposter syndrome when you are, because you're either lying directly or you're lying by omission. You're not being forthright about the type of experience or knowledge that you have. And so, that's just one example. Another example could be like, I don't know, I felt like that before in jiu-jitsu. I felt like that before in many different times. And I think that one of the best ways to alleviate that is to have this, and this is the aspect of it that I've talked about before on this podcast, that I've just kind of connected the dots to imposter syndrome as well. But how this connects to being a student, like the mindset of I'm forever a student, being okay with admitting I don't know the answer to this, or I've never heard of that before, or, I'm not really quite clear on what you mean. Could you elaborate on that? Could you explain it to me? Obviously this leads to a lot clearer communication, better jobs being done, more honesty, more trust, not just with each other and who you're talking to, but with yourself as well, because you're able to be, and I guess this is kind of like the woo-woo spiritual stuff, but you're able to witness yourself. There's that difference between the thinker and the witnesser, but you're able to witness yourself, tell the truth to yourself, which is kind of a cool thing. But anyways, nonetheless, there's all these benefits. But obviously, one of the biggest benefits is when you could admit that you don't know something, then somebody smarter than you or somebody that has experienced that before or has experience in solving that problem can actually teach you. And then you actually just get to learn the right way instead of trying to like fail your way through it. And so, obviously, there's been times where, like in construction or in renovations, where I bit off more than I can chew, and accepted a job that, I probably I could do better now than I did when I accepted it, to say the least. And there's been many a times where I've had to Google or YouTube, how exactly do I do this? Make this cut? How exactly do I install this thing? There's been times where I've had to look that up, but I think if you can find somebody that knows it and you can just be honest, like, hey, can you give me a hand with this? Can you, it kind of alleviates that stress, that fear, that guilt of, I might get found out. I might be, you can only really be a fraud if you are being deceptive. And so if you're just open and honest and be like, hey, like, I don't actually know exactly how to do this, but I could point you in the right direction, or I could introduce you to somebody, or maybe let's find a solution together. Whatever it could be, I think that no matter what you're dealing with in life, it could be the trades, it could be jiu-jitsu, it could be a sport, it could be a job, it could be literally anything. But if you're open and honest to just tell people like, hey, I don't actually know the solution to this. Hey, I actually haven't dealt with this before, and so I might fail. And you're going to get more grace from people around you rather than just like kind of overselling yourself when you're underqualified and then you fail, and then people are like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I trusted you to do this thing and you fucked up. Like, it gives you a lot more credibility if you're like, hey, I actually haven't done this before, so I feel like it's not fair to charge you full price, or, maybe we can figure this out together, or, just from like an honesty standpoint, it gives you more credibility and it gives people more trust with you. It gives you more trust in yourself, and it takes the pressure off, the shame off, the guilt off. And then you get to actually put yourself in the experience to gain the experience and learn the lesson and build more confidence as well. And so if you feel like you've been dealing with this imposter syndrome, then that's kind of what I believe are the two main causes of it and the two main solutions. So whether it is because you're doing something, that's unrelated, but something that you feel shame or guilt about, and you're afraid that you might be caught, you might get found out to be something that you're not, or presenting something that you're not, then that's one way. And then the other way is overselling yourself. You're not doing anything shameful on the side, but you're just kind of not willing to admit where you have gaps in your knowledge or experience. And that's kind of the best, or I say the most common two times that we may feel imposter syndromes or symptoms of that. I don't really know what's the grammatically correct term to talk about that in, but that's the perspective from a simple little carpenter from Vancouver. And so on that note, I will check in with you guys on Thursday. I hope that you're having a good week, a good Monday morning so far. Hope that kind of gives you a new perspective or a new way to think about it. And if you know somebody that may need to hear this message, or you think, hey, this is a cool way to think about it, I never thought about it, do me a favor and just share the show with somebody that you know. It really does help boost me in the algorithms. Whether you watch this on YouTube or listen to the audio version of it anywhere like that, please share the content with somebody that you feel like needs to hear it, because that's how we organically spread shit. So share the show, help it grow. Much love. Peace out. See you guys on Thursday. Bye. Enjoy your week.